Welcome to this live video. Thank you so much for being here. This evening is interesting. Well, these live feeds generally are interesting, but interesting to me anyway, at least. So what are we speaking to? We are speaking to why we push our loved ones away, why we push those that we care about away, and how we do this and how we can manage this so that we cease to engage in behavior that is a disservice to us and a disservice to others, of course. That is why we are here. That is what we are going to discuss this evening. That is what we are going to speak very openly to this evening. So if you're just coming on board, place a number 1 in the comment box so that I know that you're here. I see a few people coming on, but I can't see everybody. So number 1 in the comment box to let me know that you're here. And perhaps an emoticon to let me know how you're feeling as well. That would be wonderful. So, of course, why 12? To be honest, it's a random number. There are, of course, many reasons that we disconnect from people. There are many reasons why we push ourselves away and we push people away. Of course, there are more than 12. But we are going to speak to 12. This evening. We are going to openly discuss some of the ways in which we self-sabotage our relationships, and we self-sabotage ourselves, and the other as well becomes a form of sabotage rather than self-sabotage. So, hi Michelle, how are you? Hi Sky, hope you're well. Wonderful to have you here. Deborah, Sandy, Anastasia, Jolene, thank you. If you're coming on, place number 1 in the comment box so that I know that you're here. It'll be lovely to be able to engage, yeah? So, why do we self-sabotage? Or why do we sabotage our relationships? Now, there's a fine line. Yeah, there's a fine line between looking at a relationship or observing our relationship that we have to self, and the relationships that we hold and maintain with loved ones and our beloved and those that we care about deeply. And there's a balancing act, yeah. And there comes an opportunity where we observe our relationships and we say to ourselves, this isn't working. And there are a number of reasons that we may justify it to ourselves why it is not working. And then we go about not having the courage to move or step out of that relationship. And this is what we're going to speak to this evening. This is what we're going to unpack this evening, is what are these reasons that we hold within ourselves that don't allow us to maintain or express a courage to speak our truth, to assist us in understanding what is most important to us. And that is speaking our truth. That is communicating our authentic selves. Because what happens is in relationships that for whatever reason or reasons that we are disconnected from, that no longer serves us, or serve us rather, we remain in these relationships. Why do we do that? Why do we remain in these relationships? And sometimes understanding this why, or these series of whys, really assist us in being more transparent, honest, and seamless in our communication. And of course, not only positioning us well in our own lives, but also being respectful for those that are in our lives that share a part of our path at that particular time as well. And that becomes deeply important, because if we are being dishonest in a relationship, if we are not expressing our truth, and that's what I really mean by dishonest here, if we're not expressing our truth and what we need in the relationship, it will surface in ways that are unconscious and in ways that are debilitating to the relationship. So let's just get into this. Let's go fairly deep. And I've begun already by really stating openly that if we are not authentic, if we're not truthful in our movement in that relationship, the relationship will really break down, and we begin to push our partners away because our partners are getting mixed signals. or the loved ones in our lives are receiving mixed signals. They're receiving signals that are conscious and signals that are unconscious. And this becomes debilitating. This becomes confusing, frustrating. It causes friction, tension, fear, arguments, the unknown, too much uncertainty. This is the problem. This is too much uncertainty, yeah? This becomes dangerous in the relationship. So the first reason that we may push our partners away, push our beloved away, is that we are unable to be authentic. We are inauthentic in our posturing. We are pretending to be someone that we are not. We are denying ourselves our own authentic expression, and therefore causing friction within our own selves, and of course causing friction in the relationship. Our partners do not know what to expect. They do not know, who are we going to be tomorrow? Who are we going to be today? Who are we going to be next week? When we are inauthentic, our minds are changing rapidly. But beyond that, our heart expressions really aren't matching and are not conducive to what is most important to us, what is honest and authentic to us, because we are living essentially a lie. We become resentful to ourselves for not speaking our truth, communicating our truth, living our truth. And of course, we project that resentment onto our partners. And it's natural then for our partners to become very defensive, deeply defensive. And they move into an internalized position of fight, flight, or freeze. So they then come from fear as well. Please, people, if you're coming on board, let me know by placing a number 1 in the comment box. And if you're new to these live feeds, place new in the comment box so the tribe and the community can welcome you as well. We're speaking to 12 reasons why we push our beloved away for good. And when I say for good, it is these actions that we take, conscious and unconscious. What they really do is they push and they compound. They consistently compound. And the relationship consistently suffers. And we've spoken to consistency before in many different ways. Consistency is such a powerful tool for growth. It's a powerful tool for transformation also. And importantly, consistency allows us to become very proficient in whatever we are being consistent at and in. Now remember that works for both healthy experiences and actions and unhealthy experiences and actions. So please begin to understand that. This is really important. This is deeply important. So when we're speaking to authenticity, I'd love for you to share, if you may, please. I'd love for you to share some of your experiences where you've experienced inauthenticity in your life, or perhaps that you've been inauthentic in your own movement in relationship, and how that has affected your dynamic, whether it's a familial dynamic, a platonic dynamic, or an erotic or beloved dynamic, where you have disconnected from your loved ones because you have been inauthentic. You have not allowed yourself to be this full, complete version of self. You've held back because of some form of fear, or you've held back because you simply don't know how, you don't have the internal tools to express your power and your truth. So perhaps share in your own experiences what that looks like and how you have been affected in your life through processes or being exposed to inauthenticity. That would be wonderful. So the second reason perhaps is not knowing what we value most, not knowing what is most important to us. When we do not know our values, we become lost in a doing that does not align with what is important to us. We become lost in this doing that does not resonate with us. We even become lost in this embodiment or this being that does not resonate with what is most important to us in life. This becomes problematic. We push our beloved away as this fragmentation, this fracturing within us damages us, confuses us, and propels us into deep frustration that we, again, often project onto our loved ones, because the ego does not like to maintain and hold on to anything negative, of negative consequence, or anything that dishonors the self. Feel into that for a moment. We also push our beloved away because this fracturing and this fragmentation is not attractive. It's not focused. It's not stable. It's not safe. So men, especially when men do not know their values, do not know what is most important to them, they will act in accordance perhaps with what the status quo is. And this is not just for men, but also women. But men in particular, you will cause uncertainty in your partnership. You will cause fear to arise in your partnership. And this becomes a problem. This instability causes insecurity and fear in the other. And hence we move towards distancing ourselves while simultaneously pushing those we love away. And if you can resonate with that, place a number 2 in the comment box, please. Because this becomes deeply important now for how we begin to move in the relationship. Because if we don't know ourselves, how can we give to our partners? How can we give to our loved ones? How can we give to those that are important to us? How can we give to what is important to them when we don't know what is important to ourselves? So this is an important point, an important reason for really pushing those that we love and care for away. And again, it's not that we push them away permanently or for good. The title, 12 Reasons Why We Push Our Beloved Away for Good, again, it comes down to that compounding effect. If we behave in a way that is not conducive to the health of the relationship and the growth of the relationship, guess what happens? The relationship wears thin. The relationship breaks down, and it breaks down dramatically. This is the problem. Third reason, let's move into the third reason why we push our partners away deeply, is not loving ourselves. When there is very little self-love, when there is little self-worth, we are not happy people. We are not content people. We come from constriction, restriction, and fear. We come from a place of hurt and wounding. We come from a place of deep pain. This becomes problematic with respect to what we need in the relationship and what we can fully give. Effectively, we will give very little because we don't love ourselves enough. Our cup is not full. Therefore, how can we possibly give to others? This is a problem. We cannot give to others because we are not giving to ourselves. And Carol's asking a question here. What happens when you are authentic in a close friendship and you connect on a soul level, but the problem remains when deep feelings of love are emerging from both sides, yet it freaks you out and you become inauthentic around that person and deny your true feelings? Well, Carol, that's a beautiful question. Essentially, you've answered the question in the question to some degree, is fear. Fear is controlling you, so fear will place a facade to protect you, to protect what it projects it may experience from moving into love. It could be a fear of rejection. It could be a fear of loss. It could of losing self, of potentially losing the relationship. It could be a number of different fears that are coming up. And this is really important. We're going to speak to fears later on as one of the reasons as well. So great question, really, really pertinent question and very valuable question as well. So if we go back to loving self, when we choose not to love the parts of us that we disown and we do not appreciate, we choose not to love the whole of who we are. And this is a problem. So if we don't love the whole of who we are, we don't know who we are. And this broken person within us will constantly be fighting the outside world. That is what happens. That is what occurs, and especially in intimacy and intimate relationship. You lose those that you love. That's the simplicity of it. And as you will eventually reflect to others how you truly feel about yourself. And you will do that through your actions. And if you show yourself self-care and you show yourself self-worth and you demonstrate your value in a relationship, you will draw the relationship closer to you. You will draw the relationship closer to yourself. Self-love is so important. It lays a very powerful foundation, a deeply powerful foundation for growth and transmutation, not only of yourself, but of the other person. And of course, the relationship will flourish in that space as well. So number 3 in the comment box, if you can resonate with self-love being something deeply, deeply powerful and profound for us to engage in and to be a part of as often as possible. In fact, it should be something that is a given in terms of how we choose to treat ourselves and treat others. Because when we are loving self, we are effectively loving all that is in our scope or sphere of reality, yeah? There's another question here that I'll answer while we move on to transitioning from number 3 to number 4. Jolene asks, I find when I pull away and verbally ask for time to get clear with myself, if I don't choose the right words, they take it personally and allow me time. I found that when I gain clarity shortly after, they distance themselves from me pretty much completely. That's simply insight into the individuals that you're choosing to spend your time with, Jolene, and how they interact with your personality, but also how they interact with you on a soul level, yeah? So perhaps being able to look at that is deeply important as well. Number 4, polarization. Number 4 is only showing the good, or what we perceive to be good or grand, or what our partners we think our partners may need or would only accept and resonate within us. So, or resonate with us within themselves. So when we polarize ourselves by only focusing on the truth of ourselves, we eventually get caught out. We become caught out because we are not being authentic. And effectively, we're only demonstrating this fractured, partial version of self to our partnerships. Like it's so much, it's more beneficial to be completely honest with who we are from the beginning of the relationship, owning your shadow, owning your shadow self, being proud of who you are, being proud of your life experiences, learning and growing from your past. This is part, see, if we don't grow from our past, we struggle to show and demonstrate the fullness of who we are in relationship. That means that the other people that are in our lives are only getting a partial view of who we are. They're only getting a partial view of what they are observing in life. They're not getting the fullness of who they are. So they're falling in love, or they're attracted to this fractured version of self. They're not fully in love and immersed with the fullness of who we are. Now, as that becomes unraveled with time, because it's virtually impossible to remain in fracture or in complete fracture, the relationship becomes undone. It becomes unstable because your partner or your friend or your family member says, well, hold on a second. For many years, you've been this particular person. Why different now? Why so different? This becomes an issue. But also it becomes liberating for us to embrace the wholeness of who we are. And it lends itself to us gaining wisdom and gnosis and knowledge and experience around who we've been in life. It becomes empowering, and in fact, this form of honesty is deeply endearing and attractive. And what it does is it begins to minimize, it really begins to minimize the failed relationships we have in life. It really begins to minimize the relationships that we have attracting misaligned persons in our lives. So when we own all that we are, we bring into our lives people that are worthy of that are worthy of being connected to self, yeah, being connected to us in the relationship. So I'm just making an adjustment to the screen here. My apologies. Cool. Okay, that should be fine. Number 5, being a selfish narcissist. Now, I did a video on narcissism some time ago, a live feed some time ago. It wasn't that long ago, in the last month or two. And we went really deep into the traits of a narcissist, what it means to be a narcissist, how it impacts and affects our relationships, and how we become damaged by narcissism, and how, of course, narcissism damages others as well. Yeah. So being self-absorbed, being self-absorbed in a detrimental way to self and to others is not an attractive trait, and it may appear empowering at the beginning, depending on how it's displayed, how it's focused, how it's directed and engaged. But after a while, it becomes tiresome, becomes deeply tiresome, and this is not a healthy and sustainable behaviour. And narcissism is a deep personality disorder. But behaving selfishly in relationship and only looking after our own interests in relationship, the reality is nobody wants to be used and then discarded of. It's not something that's attractive, and it's not something that's healthy. There must be sincere, reciprocal, mutual giving in relationship in order for that relationship to thrive. So narcissism becomes a deep pain point. 3 weeks ago the video was cool. Thanks, Emma. Narcissism becomes a deep pain point, and narcissism is very false. It's very false in its expression. It appears to be loving and endearing at the beginning, but very, very quickly turns to something that is damaging to the relationship and damaging to the individual's heart and their emotional selves, the way they are able to move in that relationship. So narcissism is something that when compounded and when expressed regularly, it destroys the relationship and eventually will push your partners away. If it doesn't push them away physically, it will create a void emotionally within them. And that's a problem, because you lose the most important component of the relationship, and that is deep, deep connection. And most narcissists will be suffering deep inside, and most narcissists suffer harshly. And they don't know that they're suffering, and they project that pain on others. And they develop a defense mechanism and a coping strategy that is very attacking. And it forms into a narcissistic personality disorder, generally speaking. Most narcissists are very deeply isolated. But that, again, refer to the video a few weeks ago. You can refer to my YouTube channel, S.Sifandos, and you'll be able to see in the playlist live video feeds, and you'll be able to see the title there. It's a very comprehensive video, and we went deep into that. So if you can resonate with narcissism being something that pushes partnership and love away, place the number 5 in the comment box, please. And let's get moving. Let's get moving into number 6, not living your purpose. Not living on purpose, not living in purpose. When we are not living in purpose, when we are not living on purpose, we are lost within ourselves. Essentially, we are lost to others. And discovering our purpose and stepping into our truth, our authentic power through courageous action is one of the most attractive qualities that we can hold within ourselves. And beyond that, what it also does is it inspires those that are in our lives. It gives hope and strength to those that are in our lives. It is an endearing quality, and it is a loving quality, and it is an attractive quality to be and live and embody purpose. Living on and in purpose grounds us. It makes us safe, stable, and secure. It makes us predictable. But it also demonstrates that we are inspired and passionate about life, and that we are inspired and passionate about love. It's deeply, in particular, this is deeply attractive to females and deeply attractive to the feminine within and to those that we love. It's a nurturing quality to express, to be on purpose, to live on purpose. Immensely, immensely powerful, yeah? So powerful, so powerful. So, beautiful people, if you're just coming on board, place a number 1 in the comment box. If you're new to these live feeds, place new in the comment box, please, so that the tribe can welcome you, the community can welcome you in the most fashionable way possible. So if you can resonate with living on purpose, place number 6 in the comment box, please. Number 7, let's move on to number 7. Not having an open heart and choosing not to be vulnerable. This is huge. This is huge. Excuse me. This is huge in relationship. Yeah. Not being vulnerable and closing down our hearts. This isn't only huge in relationship in terms of contributing to pain, contributing to disconnect, and contributing to pushing away our partners. But when our hearts are closed, we are closed to life for ourselves. We are closed to life for who we are and what we have a capacity to experience and express and be with. So when we're looking at not having an open heart, this is especially a huge and a dramatic issue for men in particular, because culturally, socioculturally, and even socioeconomically, and familiarly, we are not, as men, we are not really taught how to express our emotions, how to be present with our emotional selves and our emotional beings, how to really connect to our hearts and really connect to our feeling state, our inner feeling state, and then learn to express that in such a way that is conducive to expressing health in a relationship, but also being mindful and attentive to our loved ones as well. When our hearts are shut off, we cannot communicate openly. We cannot express our truth. We are rigid in our ways, and we choose not to express the deep love that we have namely because we are fearful. We are fearful of either being hurt. We are fearful of shutting down. We are fearful of the unknown. So many fears, varied fears, depending on the individual and, of course, their own life experiences and their interpretation of those life experiences as they've grown up during their formative years, etc. And we cannot be vulnerable because we generally perceive vulnerability as a weakness or as a threat, and therefore miss an important opportunity to connect with our beloved. Also because we just don't know how to be vulnerable. We don't know how to express our greatest truth. This repeated action compounds and creates a great void between lovers. Because what is the relationship then predicated upon? What is it based upon? If you don't tell your partner how you feel, like exactly how you feel when you feel it, this becomes a problem. Oksana, yeah, absolutely. Vulnerability is huge. Vulnerability is so important in relationship. I mean, my workshops are predicated upon vulnerability and honesty in relationship and transparency in relationship and learning how to be deeply present in relationship and learning how to express oneself in timing, because there's an intricate timing to this as well. There's an intricate timing to expressing one's authentic, open self. And Carlene, you're absolutely right. It is a matter of desiring emotional intelligence and knowing that it is time to gain it. And to desire emotional intelligence, we must be self-aware. We must have awareness around self. We must know ourselves in as much depth as possible. Yeah, absolutely, Tara. Feeling encouraged to express your feelings, but still allowing the man to lead. We get told by society how to believe, and this encourages inauthenticity. And vulnerability is definitely an art. Vulnerability is a practice. And again, it's not just men that are limited or exposed to not being able to be vulnerable. Women experience that as well. We all experience this. And it's painful. It's painful to not be vulnerable. We harbor these emotions, and these emotions become stuck. They become unprocessed. They become entrenched within our being, and they become distorted. They morph into something else. They morph into something that is not really who we wish to express and how we wish to be. And if you can resonate with vulnerability, place a number 7 in the comment box. And also, I'd love to hear some of your stories around vulnerability and how being vulnerable has actually liberated you from pain, fear, and suffering, and how long-term, and how being vulnerable has actually allowed you to be this grand, amazing version of self, but also how it's made you feel. When you've been vulnerable in your life, how have you actually felt? How has it made you feel? How have you then related to others because of this beautiful vulnerability? So don't only place number 7 in the comment box because you resonate with that, but also share some of your stories around vulnerability, because I know the community would gain deeply from that. It would be amazing to hear some of your stories around how being vulnerable, how you've experienced vulnerability in others has even opened up your heart. Because I know in my own life, when I have been vulnerable with people, they have been able to be vulnerable with me, and the interchange is so fucking profound. The interchange is so deep, meaningful, connected. And this interchange is continued. And we oscillate back and forth between this heart-opening truth sharing, this vulnerability, this sensitivity. We bond through being vulnerable. And when we are not vulnerable with each other, we push each other away because there is no substance there. Can you resonate with that? There is no substance there. And Derek asks a couple of questions. Is there a distinctive differentiation between investing into encouraging the balance of a relationship versus what would be considered settling when opening up and attempting to allow another to do the same? It's a powerful question, my brother. Really, really powerful question. Derek, another conscious man on this live feed. Thank you for being here, my brother. We have so many beautiful conscious women here, so many aware conscious women. Can the conscious men that are on give me a shout out? Let me know that you're here. Just say yo, or let me know that you're here, or just say something. Let us know that you're here, yeah? So, Derek, that's a really interesting question, and I'm just rereading it and allowing it to assimilate within me. Awesome, man. Unpack settling for me, Derek, and we'll come back to that, my man. Unpack what you mean by settling. Do you mean just simply settling on a substandard version of a relationship? Is that what you mean by just settling because we don't know any other way? Go deeper into that, please, and I'll come back to that. Yeah. So next, number 8, not supporting our loved ones and partners in their interests. This is actually really simple, but really profound with respect to when people aren't known, when people aren't being felt, when people aren't being understood, when they're not being heard, when they're not being, or they feel they're not being respected or appreciated, or what they do, or what they embody is not appreciated or even attended to, they lose interest in the relationship. They're not feeling supported. When we are not supported, we distance ourselves from what we perceive is not supporting us. That's the simplicity of it. When we choose not to show a genuine interest and care for our beloved and what they are interested in, we lose an opportunity to grow together. We lose an opportunity to grow together. And we lose an opportunity to connect meaningfully. This distances us further, and it further isolates us from each other, and we may feel we are living completely separate lives. Giving with our time, energy, resources, and love is a beautifully attractive and highly connected quality and process. It's part of our journey for bonding together. Yeah? It's so important. So, Derek, when you're speaking to settling, you're speaking to habits, yeah? Okay, cool. That makes a little bit more sense. So, for me, we need to look at our habits at every step of the way, not only in our own lives, it's not only in relationships, but also in our own lives, and ask ourselves whether our habits are conducive to the harmonious balance of the relationship and what the other needs and what we need from the relationship, or whether those habits are destructive, the destructive patterns or elements in the relationship that really don't allow us to flourish, grow together, understand each other, connect to each other, love each other, be endearing. Are we emotionally triggered, negatively triggered? If our habits are causing that, then we must look at that. We must observe that at great depth, yeah? So separating habits that are not preferably healthy for the relationship, but given that nobody is perfect. Cool. So yeah, I think I've responded to that, Derek. Let me know if I have. Yeah. So support. We're on number 8. Supporting our loved ones and our partners in their interests and what they are passionate about and what they are inspired by and what their purpose is to show a genuine interest, not to show an interest for a tokenistic interest for the sake of showing an interest, but to really be connected to that. And again, to be able to show a genuine interest in our partners and to support them in their journey, we must know ourselves. We come back to self-gnosis, to self-awareness, to self-realization, to knowing self. We must know our values. We must live on purpose. We must know our likes and dislikes. We must have clarity on where we are going and who we are and who we have been and who we continue to wish to be. This is so important. Katarina, thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Vulnerability will always allow us to connect to others in a true manner, and especially those that need to be in our lives and that share an authentic magnificence with us in terms of our journeys as well. So place a number 8 in the comment box if you can resonate with supporting your loved ones through your journey and through their journey as well. Number 8 in the comment box, please. And let's move on to number 9, being riddled with fear. Being riddled with fear. When we are riddled with fear, we will push our beloved away. We will push those that we love away. Now, what happens at the beginning is when we are living in fear and we are not taking action with respect to creating healthy circumstances for us to live by and to live in, to embody, those that love us will be there for us. And they'll wish to shift that fear away from us. They'll wish to be present to us. They'll wish to do everything they can to assist us. But the reality is they're pushing a very large boulder uphill, up a very steep hill. Because if those fears are unaddressed, unresolved and unattended within us, they fester deeply in our unconscious self. They drive our behaviors, our conscious actions, our interactions and our expressive feelings. And we lose parts of ourselves because the best version of self is not presented in relationship. And we're coming from a place of fight, flight, or freeze. This is dangerous. Coming from fear restricts us. It makes us defensive. It places us in doubt, a closed state of being. It shuts people from the outside off from our inner self. We cannot be vulnerable. We cannot be honest. People will only be able to take so much of that. They will only be able to handle so much of that. It quickly destroys relationships. Fears quickly destroy relationships. And sharing these difficulties with those we love bonds us. It connects us. Verbalizing these fears begins to shift these fears, begins to give them a new shape, a new context, a new way of being and connecting, a new way of understanding ourselves. Verbalizing our pain, our challenges, our fears allows the brain, left and right hemisphere integration to be amplified. It allows us to be more conscious of self and allows us to move and shift, move through and shift behaviors and fears that no longer serve us and no longer are beneficial to our growth and expansion. So if you can resonate with that, place a number 10 in the comment box. A number 10 in the comment box, please. Number 10, not being present, not holding space, not being discerning, not being stable, not being attentive, having a scattered mind. Having a scattered mind. And I agree, Tara, as well on your comment around fears. It's absolutely necessary to have fears. Fears give us contrast and context. It's how we interact with these fears that begin to transmute our lives and begin to bring us towards wholeness or detract us and bring us away from from wholeness towards pain. So that's deeply important, yeah? But let's go to not being present, having a scattered mind. Presence is so tremendous in relationships, and it's something that particularly men need. And we, of course, men and women express presence in different ways, but men in particular need to be present. If we choose to not be present in a relationship because of external stress, that we are feeling outside of the relationship, we bring that stress in the relationship. If our mind is deterred or distracted, if we are not clear with where we are and who we are, we begin to lose the relationship. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you, this is really interesting. We begin to lose the relationship because we miss valuable experiences found within the relationship that can only be connected to, can only be realized when we pay attention to relationship. And if we are scattered, if we are not present and our minds and our hearts are elsewhere, then that person is not gaining the full version of ourselves. They will become despondent and potentially resentful, sad, and they will lose an interest in choosing to share their lives with us. If we do this, we're essentially demonstrating to our loved one that they are not a priority, they're not important, they are not worthy of our attention and our love. Being present in relationships demonstrates a dedication and commitment and a value to the beloved and to the relationship. So important. If you're just coming on, people, place a number 1 in the comment box. And if you're new to these live feeds, place new in the comment box. And the tribe and the community, I am sure, will welcome you with open arms. So if you can resonate with presence, please place number 11 in the comment box. This is huge. Presence is huge. To be present, especially when your loved one is suffering, is hurting, is in despair, is in disarray, is despondent, is screaming and crying for help, for guidance, just to be heard. If you cannot be present, you will lose contact with the beloved in every way, shape and form. Number 11 of the 12 reasons why we push, or why we may push our beloved away for good, is choosing to not spend intimate time together. Now, before I go into this, how's everybody feeling? We're dropping some heavy truth bombs here this evening. And, you know, it gets a lot deeper than this, of course. But how's everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling excited that you're learning this? That, of course, many of you are aware of this, but that we're putting it together. You're getting excited at the potential that, hey, you now have an opportunity to observe your behaviors and transmute them, transform them, change them. Give me an emoticon in the comment box with respect to how you're feeling. Are you sad at this information? Are you shocked? Are you in awe? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you in disbelief? Are you angry? Are you really disconnected? Are you fearful? Even one word and an emoticon. Let me know how you're feeling. This is important, okay? One word and an emoticon to let me know how you're feeling. Because how you're feeling right now is going to determine how you continue to upload this information, but also how you choose, if you choose to apply the information. Awesome. So I'm seeing some excited commentary. So people are excited. That's good. And if you're fearful, if you're overwhelmed, let us know. We're all in this together. Yeah, we're all here to be connected. Jada, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling good. I'm a bit tired today, but I'm feeling good. I've been working all day, but I'm feeling cool. I'm excited speaking to this stuff. And, you know, the more I speak to this material, the more I speak to this, you know, I learn so much. I reflect on my own relationships, and I reflect on who I've been and where I have been despondent in my own relationships, and where I have perhaps not been present. perhaps where I have not spent that enough intimate time. I have not been clear on my values or not been clear on my purpose, and how it's disconnected me from my loved ones as well. So, you know, it's a reflection piece, but also there's an optimism and a hope that transpires, Jada, and for all of us there. And that hope, if put in context, gives us strength and clarity to act. But hope without context is dangerous. It's very dangerous. Jada, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this subject matter? And how are you feeling just in general? So, not spending intimate time together is number 11. And if we don't make the time and create the space and the opportunity to share intimate space with each other and our loved ones, we lose precious moments, because we move through the world and we grow. We're experiencing life in so many different ways, on so many different levels, with so many different people. So it's important to be connected to each other during that process, to be connected to each other in the most intimate of ways. So intimate time, intimacy is so important. That's where we really get to know each other. And if we choose to avoid intimacy because if we choose to be disconnected from ourselves and therefore not be able to be intimate in relationship, we push our partners away, we're pushing ourselves away as well, we're pushing an aspect of ourselves away. Oh, Jada, that's beautiful. I'm feeling agape for love for universality. Lovely. So intimacy is something where we grow together as we draw experiences from everywhere in our lives, and we bring those experiences into our intimate partnerships, and we share that with each other. And we share how that's impacted us. We share how that's influenced us. We share how we have learned from those experiences. That deepens our intimacy and the richness of our relationship and the substance within our relationships. To get to know each other at depth and breadth, to create meaningful memories and share deep love with our loved one is so important. This sharing connects us. This sharing sincerely bonds us, and it's a dedicated process that allows us to explore each other beautifully and intimately and openly, and to express deep truth to each other. Carlene, absolutely, we are all connected in this space. In one way or another, we are all connected. So intimacy is not just something that we share with our beloved, it's something that we share with those that we care about. We can share intimacy with an idea or a belief system. Remember that. If we value deeply a belief system, if we value deeply an ideology, we can be intimate with that ideology by getting to know that ideology, by being present in that ideology, by allowing that ideology to serve us, to be there for us. That's awesome, Tara. Sometimes it's overwhelming on social media as we get so much advice from others on how to live. Sometimes I feel we need to reconnect to what feels true in our hearts and go live in the forest. And Tara, that's beautifully said. You know, we need to spend time with ourselves. We need to spend time in nature. And what we want to be is we want to be very discerning with the information that's presented to us. And I say that also for me. So right here I'm presenting to you 12 reasons why we may push our beloved away. Don't take that for gospel. Don't take for what I'm saying for any absolute truth. Be deeply self-aware within yourself. Be discerning with the information that is being presented. Ask yourself, is this making sense to me? Does this resonate with me? Does this fit into my life? Is what Steph is saying or what he's expressing or experiencing or speaking to, does that make any sense? Does that resonate with me? Have I been there? Could I go there? Be discerning Query everything. Query as much as you can in life. Come from a place of heart, come from a place of sincerity, but query it. And what does not resonate, do not use, do not apply, do not be with. That's deeply important to grasp as well, yeah? So if you can resonate with not spending that intimate time together, place a number 12 in the comment box, please. Number 12 in the comment box if you can relate to intimacy being deeply, deeply important. And maybe what I'd also like to see after your number 12 is define intimacy for me. So what is your version of intimacy in no more than 3 to 5 words? So describe intimacy, or 1 or 2 sentences. Describe intimacy in 1 or 2 sentences for you. What is one of the most powerful definitions of intimacy for you, or practices that you can engage in that really allows you to be intimate? Jada says, being intimate with our lineage is sometimes forgotten as we get older, but so important. Our parents, aunties, uncles, grandparents, if we don't know where we've come from, hard to know where we're going. Completely resonate with that, Jada. Absolutely, completely resonate with that. Yes. So that's a beautiful definition of intimacy as well, as being connected to that lineage. But is there any other definitions of intimacy, Emma? Knowledge without experience is philosophy. Experience without knowledge is ignorance. To me, that's actually becoming intimate with self as well, and balancing self too. And Tara says, intimacy is if we connect to what feels real and true, the barriers of fear drop and we see each other's truths. Beautiful definition of what intimacy means for you. Keep those definitions coming, please, beautiful people, with respect to intimacy, because intimacy is something that's lost in our society so much, so deeply. So type away, express just 1, 2 or 3 words, 5 words of what intimacy is for you, but importantly, what it holds truth here, yeah? And our last reason for potentially pushing those loved ones away, our loved ones away, not choosing to understand or willing to know our partners. Sky says, emotional, mental, and soul connection whilst holding sacred space. Beautiful. Yeah, but you know why, Emma? That makes sense though. Carlene says, profound connection, deep knowing, no fear, unbounded love. Beautiful. Derek says, intimacy holds true for me to be an uninhibited honesty and consistently executed unconditional love. Beautiful, beautiful. Into me, I see intimacy. Yeah, it's a beautiful definition as well. Awesome. So keep those definitions coming, beautiful people. Those connections of what intimacy is for you, of course. Yeah, because people will grasp ideas here, and we're all connected here on this platform, which is beautifully amazing. So choosing not to understand our partners. When we do not choose to understand our beloved, we are essentially neglecting them and not appreciating the truth. And this, again, builds resentment. It builds pain within our beloved because they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, they don't feel connected to or understood. Therefore, how can they feel safe? When they are stuck, where can they go if they can't go to those that they love and those that love them? When deep questions are asked from a place of fear, the only type of answer we can receive is one that will work against us. This distances us tremendously from what is our truth. And if we feel misunderstood or not supported in our relationships, we're essentially feeling suppressed and we will leave. And it's that simple. So knowing each other is so important, knowing ourselves and knowing the other, wanting to know the other, what the other's pain points are, their childhood history, their experiences, their loves, their likes, their dislikes. It also assists in the way then you navigate in that relationship. And again, I did a video on this 1 or 2 weeks ago with respect to what was the title? You know what? I'm going to find the title. Give me a moment. What was the title? What was it? Give me 2 seconds. I won't be long. I'm going to find the title. It was, I believe it was Knowing our past to love authentically in the present, to love authentically in the now moment. That's what I think the video was. They'll be on YouTube, yeah. They'll be on S.Sifandos YouTube playlist, Facebook Live video feeds. So that was really interesting. So knowing who we are, knowing ourselves, understanding our partners is so important. So that brings us to, and if you can resonate with that actually, please place number 13 in the comment box if you can resonate with knowing our partners, knowing what they like, what they dislike, knowing their history, knowing who they've been, their traumatic experiences, their fears, their doubts, their inhibitions, their dreams, their visions for self, for life. How important is that to know that in a relationship? And if you don't know that, and if you're not interested in that, then why are you in a relationship? And why are you even interacting with people if it's not for self-absorbed, selfish, potentially narcissistic reasons, yeah? And I'm going to give you a bonus, number 13. I'm going to give you a bonus reason why we may push our beloved away, yeah? And this one is communication. Communication. When we do not communicate openly, effectively, truthfully, authentically, in a real way, when we shut down, and men do this so much, they are unable to express themselves. They shut down. When we shut down ourselves, we are shutting down the relationship. When we choose not to communicate a pain point, a fear, an issue, something that's bothering us, we shut down the relationship. Communication is your bonus reason why you may push your loved one away. Communication. We must choose to communicate openly, beautifully with people in our lives. We must. Communication is so important in relationship. So beautiful people, I am going to bid you a farewell and a beautiful evening. And before I do so, I want you, of course, to have a look at the link in the title. And there's a link to the conscious relating workshop that my good friend Mark Reid and I are running this Wednesday evening in Perth. If you are in Perth, Western Australia, we are running this workshop on conscious relating, conscious communication, loving relationships. It's going to be very hands-on, very practical, and it's also going to be deeply intuitive and informative as well. So that's in Wembley. If you're in Perth, please grab your tickets. Spaces are limited. We're nearly full, which is cool. It's a closed space, a beautiful space. It's a yoga studio that is just divine. So we will be there at Heart, Body, Mind. I think it's Heart, Body, Mind. Yeah, Heart, Body, Mind Studios in Wembley. So have a look at that. And of course, wishing you many blessings on your journey. And if you can resonate with communication being something deeply important in relationship, place number 14 in the comment box to round us off. And any additional thoughts that you may have. And even after this live feed is finished, share those thoughts, no problem, yeah? 14, always be polite. There are many more than just 12 or 13 reasons why we push our partners away, we push our loved ones away, or those that we care about away. Many more. There's probably hundreds of reasons, but I think we've touched on 13 pertinent reasons today, which is healthy for us. So if these resonate with you, take them away with you. Do something with them. Think about them. Feel into them. Apply them in your relationships and observe how they affect you positively or negatively. And I feel that you will probably more positively than anything else. Now, please share this video if it resonates with you. Please share this video to your loved ones, to your wall, to whoever it may be. Direct them to the YouTube channel, direct them to my Facebook page, direct them to wherever. But share if this video resonates with you. Of course, I deeply appreciate that. Be kind to one another, absolutely, Tara. So wishing you many blessings on your journey. I'll see you again in the next few days. Lots of love. And thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me. Deeply grateful, deeply grateful. I'm learning so much, and I'm hoping that you are as well. And again, have a beautiful evening or a day or a morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you again very soon. Thank you.